Hey guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Monday. See some familiar faces. Cool. Super excited about today's chat, guys. This is going to be really interesting. Taylor is probably one of my most favorite recruiters. Taylor, that's saying a lot. I have a love and hate relationship.
Appreciate that.
I have a love and hate relationship.
Everyone does. That means a lot.
Yeah, there's it's interesting. I feel like sometimes when you find the right recruiter, you like hold on to them. You're like, yeah, this person is not shady. They're in it for me. And like you're like, yeah, I don't want to work with anyone else. But it's rare. It's rare. Recruiters are interesting,
Yes.
but
Yes.
you know what? It's definitely a hard job. So I'm not gonna shit on all of them.
Hey, listen, I shit on them, right? I mean, that's why I literally my subtitle is Recruiter Against Recruiters, because we as an industry are pretty terrible. So
I actually really appreciate that. I really appreciate just your your socials and the way you present yourself. You cut through the bullshit. You're extremely transparent.
yeah, I try.
Which is, like I said, which is super rare. So I'm without further ado, guys, I'm gonna let Taylor take this one. So Taylor, this is gonna be an interesting one because social media is definitely one of those things I feel like people sometimes don't know how to utilize it in the way to optimize for their job search strategy. It can feel intimidating. You don't know what should you say, what should you not say, how should you talk about work, what's not appropriate, what is appropriate, how much can you share. So without further ado, please, the expert, let's go.
Absolutely. Well, y'all, thank you again for hanging out with me on this Monday afternoon. It means a lot. So a little quick backstory about me. My name, again, is Taylor Desson. I've been recruiting now for 10 years this year. I joke and I say recruiting is like dog years. It exponentially ages you. And so 10 years for me is a long time, especially when the industry average is 18 months.
Yeah.
And 18 months to like leave the industry, like most people don't stick, obviously, in the recruiting space, and rightfully so. It can be a little ridiculous sometimes. And so I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. I do not like country music, so don't ask me anything about country music. But I did move here for music like everyone else. My lead singer, fortunately for him, he's made it. Unfortunately for me, I'm a recruiter, but I think it's worked out well for both ends. And so I spent some time in Raleigh, North Carolina. I started my career doing Fortune 100 recruiting. So as your typical recruiter that would cold call you across the country, you would hang up on me because I had no idea what I was talking about. I really don't. I still don't know what I'm talking about. I just lie better now. And so then I moved to Raleigh. I was in Raleigh for 11 months and 29 days. I did not even have to renew my lease or my driver's license from Nashville. My mentor called me back and he goes, "Hey, do you want to come back to Nashville and take over my spot?" I said, "Absolutely." And so in the last 6 years, I've been recruiting software engineers. I've been recruiting tech in general. Software is kind of my niche, but I still recruit everything. And as of, it's not official, but as of a week ago, my role is actually shifting towards more of a national role, like actually doing this as my full-time role now. So I'm very excited and obviously get to meet wonderful people like yourself. So today, for the next 9 hours, we're going to go over basically, no, we're not going 9 hours because I can't talk that long. We're going to go over social media as a whole, right? What does it look like as a job seeker? How to write a LinkedIn. So I'm very bullish about LinkedIn. I just posted right before this chat about that LinkedIn is the only platform where you can go search, find any person that at your dream company and start up a conversation. And that's kind of how I want to come at this for the next few minutes. Is LinkedIn such a huge platform? Twitter is such a huge platform. I've really gotten big on Twitter as well. And so I want to walk you through on how to make a good LinkedIn profile. I do this session. I do a LinkedIn like hour deep dive on just how to write it. So I'm going to fly through this whole thing. But obviously my session works way better if there are questions. And so with that being said, I do want to open up the chat. If there are any questions that you've always wanted to ask a recruiter, if you want to interrupt me, if you are a interrupter by nature like myself, feel free to interrupt me. If anybody's taking the Enneagram, I always want to joke and say, if there's any 8s on this call and they want to interrupt me and challenge me, please go ahead and do so. But I want to spend the next little bit making sure by the end of this talk, this goal, there you go. Jamie's an 8. I love it. I'm a 3. But by the end of this call, I want you to be like, holy crap. I want to actually get intentional with my time on LinkedIn and Twitter as a job seeker. So let's go ahead and dive in. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen for you all because I'm going to walk through my LinkedIn profile. And hold on real quick because this does something weird. I hate that Zoom kind
Taylor,
of.
you can actually remove the screen at the top. If you go into view options, you can get rid of the floaty thingy.
Oh, I believe it or not, I don't mind the floaty thingy. I actually just love, but I did see the chat went away. Where'd the chat go?
Oh, it goes into a different window when it expands. Like if you're using 2 screens, yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, but even my stop sharing screen went away. I have no idea where it went. Oh boy. All right. This will be fun. We'll figure it out.
I'll keep an eye on it for you.
All right. Sounds good. All right. So let's go ahead and dive in because everyone's seen my LinkedIn profile. And then Navi, I can't see the chat. So if anybody chats, just tell me because I can't see a thing right now. I don't know what I pressed. I'm an old man when it comes to technology. All right. So the first thing, the banner photo, the cover photo, the big old thing up here, right? That is incredibly important. Here's why it's incredibly important is because it is your billboard. It is the first thing somebody sees when they come to your profile. And 99% of y'all are underutilizing it, right? I always joke and I say your mountain background, your beach background is not going to land you a job. Now, I don't love mine, but I have to use it for marketing perspective for Vaco. I wish I could change it, but I was told not to. So I'm going to take you to someone that I really enjoy. His name is Dan Thompson. We are on a podcast together called Unicorn Finders. Dan's profile is fantastic. Dan lists his email, his Twitter handle on the left, right? Because as a human being, you traditionally read top to bottom, left to right. So the left side is the most important side. And so he wants to highlight his email and his Twitter, and then it tells him about himself. He's an advocate, relationship builder, connector, wine guy. He did all this through Canva, Canva. It's designed for dummies, is like what I call it, because I'm a dummy and I need it. And so he did this through Canva, and I would recommend you utilizing that tool to write a very good LinkedIn banner photo. If there's one thing, the question I get a lot is, hey, Taylor, listen, what's the one thing I need to put on there? It's just your email. I don't know why LinkedIn makes it a little difficult for you to find your email. You have to go to you have to click contact info and it's right here. But if you don't know that, you can't find someone's email. So worst comes to worst, put your email up here and then you're done. But I would also love to know a little bit about you as well. Let's go on to the headshot, right? So I am very blessed. I am married to a commercial photographer, right? Now, for those of you who are not married to a commercial photographer, there are some simple tips I have learned from her to take a good selfie. First off, no bathroom selfies. Some of y'all's mirrors are nasty. Stop that. Next thing, make sure I can see your face, right? The biggest thing, we live in a world of icons and profile pics, right? Go on Instagram, right? Your profile pic's really tiny. Go on LinkedIn and scroll through LinkedIn. Profile pic's really tiny, right? All of it is extremely tiny. And so you need to have something that stands out, right? So for me, I'm wearing plain attire with a colorful background, right? You have my buddy Dan. My wife took Dan's picture too, believe it or not. Dan has a simple background and a colorful shirt. If you like wearing hats and that is your thing, maybe have a hat on, but I want to see your face. It needs to be well lit and you need to look happy. Let me say that again. You need to look happy. Some of y'all look miserable and I'm not going to DM you if you look grumpy, right? At the end of the day, this is your first, I'm telling you, and you can argue with me and I'm okay with that. But at the end of the day, this is your first opportunity. This is your first opportunity to have a positive impression on a potential employer. You need to make sure it is very good. Let's go. And again, I'm flying through this and I can't see any chat. So throw it in the chat.
I'm going to interrupt you right here.
Yes, please.
There's a couple of questions.
Great. I need to figure out what I did.
So I think you're probably going to address maybe what about website links? Should we put a link to our portfolio site?
Yes, I will absolutely get to that here in three steps, in three things. So yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there for sure.
So the question around what you were just sharing, Jamie's asking, do we have to wear business formal in our profile pic?
No, I don't. So I don't know your industry. If I went into like executive CFO recruiting, yes. I moved from Raleigh. Raleigh was incredibly buttoned up, and Raleigh, I was wearing a suit. I moved back to Nashville, and I went in to hang out with my brother one day at a startup, at a tech startup. My brother's like, "The hell are you wearing?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He says, "You look ridiculous." So now your boy wears floral shirts all the time, and just I hang out, and basically what Greg's wearing is basically what I hang out in, right? So I think I have Greg's exact outfit on yesterday. So all that being said, like know your audience, right? Just know your audience from that perspective. So let's go over the title portion. The title portion is very, very important. In my perspective, this is the most important part of your LinkedIn profile. And here is why. Recruiters and hiring managers are lazy. We do not click on profiles. We eyeball everything. Now you're probably like, Taylor, what are you talking about? Watch. This is how I search it. So if a manager comes to me and they want a .NET developer spot, and I go to all filters, and then I go to Nashville. So there are 1,200 people in the Nashville area with the word .NET developer in their profile somewhere. Now, that being said, I'm going to start. So I have 1,200 people I have to sift through. You think I'm going to click on every single profile? No, I'm not. What's going to draw me to your profile? Profile pic. And then the title. Software developer, C# React.net. I can tell what that person does. .NET developer at RevSpring. Jared, I know Jared. Jared's my boy. I need to tell Jared to figure out because I will not click. If I didn't know Jared, I would not click on that. Full stack developer. What are you? JavaScript? Java? I don't know. What are you? What are you coding? Right? That's why it's incredibly important, right? Another senior software developer. So I know EFC systems. They're a .NET shop, but they also have Python. Steven needs to tell me what he does. I ain't got time to click on his profile. Now, I have gotten a lot of pushback on Twitter. You're lazy. You're a lazy recruiter, right? Why would you ever say that? You should always look at a profile. Bro, I'm not sifting through 1,200 profiles, right? I got to move quick because my manager doesn't care if I'm lazy. My manager cares me finding the right person. And so that's incredibly important.
I have a question here, Taylor.
Yes.
So there's a lot of information and where you tried to sort of capture a story in that, like even with you, when you look at, you have recruiters against recruiters, right? So you're not really saying what you're doing, but you're really trying to capture a story.
Yes.
And I see a lot of that. I've done that. I know many people who are doing that as well. What do you say about that instead of putting like Java developer or backend or?
And that's fine too, right? I mean, I think if you have like a pretty cool story, right? Like, you know, you could say former touring musician with Blink 182 now turned software developer. I don't know, right? Like something to get like me to click on your profile. That's what that should be, right? Like that. I need to be able to figure out. So recruiters against recruiters, you're probably like, well, that's weird. I'm gonna click on his profile. Right. Or you know what? I'm going to go to his website first and see how weird he is. Right. Like that's important to me. Right. So you got to find what's important to you. But that's a great question, Abby. I appreciate that. All right. So the about section, let's move on again. I know I'm flying through this. So the about section needs to be a little bit more expounded version of your title. Now, you see where I have to click see more? Nobody clicks see more unless you write something self-deprecating like me, or I see everybody looking at their screen like this. Working with recruiters is about as awkward and terrible as writing your own bio. So here's a quick overview about me, right? I'm going to make you click on that, right? Now, if you like go, senior .NET developer, currently coding React, Node, CSS, SQL, Mongo, like you just kind of list stuff and you don't really tell me about yourself. Like I'm not going to click expound upon, right? Now, if you're a man or woman of a few words, then just say what you do quickly, right? But you have to remember, we live in a TLDR culture. Too long, didn't read, right? So the shorter, more concise that you can be, the better. So that's what the about section is. In my opinion, the about section is not big, but it needs to be another place where you can say a little bit more about yourself. The featured section, let's go to the featured section. So this is where the website comes in. This is where highlighting your work of any sort comes in, is the featured section. The featured section, so the title is the number one most underrated part of LinkedIn that's not talked about. The second thing is the featured section, right? If I go to someone's page, I want to see what else they do. Right? Whether it's a side project, whether it's a lot of people put like their own post up there, like that got a lot of responses, right? If they like put a thoughtful post out there. For me, my website, a video series I did, and then my link tree where you can see everything I do, right? So right here, if you're a designer, like this needs to be your portfolio, right? If you're a designer, front end person, look, feel of things, like that needs to be just chocked full. If you're like a back end type person where you don't really have a lot to show for on the front end side, this is where you need to be putting, I don't know, tutorials that you've done, right? There's developers out there that use Loom, the video software, to record themselves live coding and talking about it. Like that's where you put this in the features section, right? You need to put something. Also, the biggest thing, do not put your resume. And here's why. The whole point is, as a job seeker, is to generate conversation, to get people off of your LinkedIn into your DMs, to generate conversation. If you put your resume up there, I can just see your resume, see if you're a fit, and then move on if you're not. You'd probably rather try to have a conversation with somebody for them to figure that out before that happens. So that's incredibly important.
Sorry, yeah. Taylor.
No, go ahead.
Let's go back to the about section for a minute.
Yes, love it.
So Benjamin asked, and this is a question I think a lot of developers I've seen many profiles do in the about section, where we list a number of technologies. So Benjamin's asking, should we list all the tech we know or just a few? So let's go to the about section for just a minute and address that.
Love it. And Benjamin, thanks for that question. Again, I wish I could see it. This would drive me absolutely insane. I don't know what I did. But Benjamin, yes. So repeat after me. Your LinkedIn is not for you. Your LinkedIn is for hiring managers and recruiters to find you. And all together now, just kidding. You need to make sure that there's a lot of buzzwords in your LinkedIn. Now, I'm not saying buzzwords needs to be the only thing in your LinkedIn, because then it'll be very obvious, right? But for me, if I would say like current .NET developer targeting React, Node, and cloud native opportunities. Right now, maybe list of tech you're really good at, right? So you're really good at Angular on the front end, you're good with Node on the back end, and you're really good with AWS, especially around S3 and Lambda stuff, right? I would put that in there. Talk about what you know, and I would sprinkle in potentially some stuff that you want to get into. But for the most part, and this is a whole nother conversation for another session down the road, if I'm ever allowed back, is around hiring and what that looks like in today's market. Companies too much want to hire for what people know, not what they want to learn, right? Which is another issue in and all of itself that we're not going to get into today. So that's where I would sprinkle some stuff that you want to get into.
And Ken is asking, how do we find out about those best buzzwords to use?
The best buzzwords to use for me are going to be technical jargon, right? So recruiters search on .NET or React or it's like, so the biggest thing is like, you could be a software engineer 3 at a company. Like, I don't give a crap that you're a software engineer 3. Like, you're a .NET developer 3 or a .NET developer, right? And then you get into the conversation of, well, Taylor, I'm not just a .NET developer. I do other things. I know you do. But the thing is, though, is that we're making this profile not for you. We're making this profile for hiring managers, right? So you need to make sure that you include, you have to dumb it down. Recruiters are dumb. We are dumb. We are dumb. And you need to write your profile like that. Now, I get people like, well, I'm not looking for a job. Okay, well, then don't write your profile this way. I'm coming at this. Like, it's so funny. People that try to argue with me when I'm just trying to help people find a job, it's unreal. There are some crazy internet trolls. But for me, when it comes to writing your profile, if you want people to call you, if you want people in your DMs, you need to write it a certain way. And that is not principal engineer. That's principal.net engineer, principal.net developer, stuff like that.
Sorry for interrupting here. Just a quick question. My name's Ken.
What's up, dude?
Should you include frameworks or libraries in your descriptions as well? Sure. Example, CSS Grid. I know it's not a big thing right now yet, but it will be. Wondering if those are things that you should include in there or not.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, listen, you know what? You can have a whole about section where about section, like all you put in the about section is, this is the tech I'm good with. This is the tech I want to learn. And you can list all that out, right? No one's going to ding you for having too much. But I would say your whole entire profile doesn't need to be a Control F search. Does that make sense? You need to have some, and we'll get into this here in a second about how to actually write your LinkedIn. Some like framing sentences. We'll get into that here in a second. But Ken, to answer your question, yes, if you want to put that in there, go ahead. Absolutely. 100%. So based off Ken's questions, let's go in and talk about actually how to write the meat and potatoes of your LinkedIn. And that's the actual like job history, right? A few things. One, if you're a junior developer or in code school of any sort or in college, you need to write every project like it is a job and your employer is the university. Let me say that one more time. If you are in code school, boot camp, college, whatever, you need to write each project within that code school as a actual job, as a project within a job, right? So let's say you go to Nashville Software School. It's a big software school here in Nashville. The company is Nashville Software School, and then you lay out every project capstone that you have done. Because here's the deal. I don't know what it is. I think it's just, in my mind, when I see side projects or experience, like I discount it. And I'm the one even here speaking about it. Listen, there are some boot camps out there where you probably code more than actual real jobs. Because I did a poll the other day that blew me away where software developers only coding about 20% of their days, which is crazy to think about with all the meetings and all that, right? And so let's face it, you're in code school, you're coding 70, 80% of the time, right? So you're technically coding more than actually a real job, right? So you need to notate that. Also, here's how going to someone's question about how to write it, Ken or whoever. Here's how I would have 3 to 5 bullet points for each project. And here's how I would write them. Your first bullet point rather, should be explaining your project at a 30,000 foot view, like you're describing it to your family members. Because let's face it, we all speak to our family differently than we do somebody in our industry. My mom thinks I fix computers, right? No, Mom, I find people to do that. And even then, I don't even do that, right? So for you, hey, so I currently developed the notification icon on LinkedIn that goes on the bell for notifications, whatever, for LinkedIn, right? That needs to be the first bullet point, super high level. Second, third, or fourth bullet point needs to be outlining the main tech you use to solve that. So we use React Redux on the front end. We leverage AWS serverless for the back end, right? Stuff like that. And then your last bullet point needs to be a technologies used section. So the technologies used is kind of like what Ken said, where you need to highlight every single tech you used in the project. Now, you're asking me, Taylor, well, that doesn't make sense because you're saying I need to highlight the main tech in the second and third bullet point. Correct. Because let's face it, we all touch different parts of the tech stack throughout the entire project. Just because you mainly use React and AWS doesn't mean you haven't touched a Mongo database or a Postgres database, right? Or you leverage CSS Grid, right? Like you need to include your entire tech stack because what that does is that allows you to come up in searches with recruiters. Any questions on that perspective?
I'm sorry, Taylor, but do you mind repeating bullet points 2 and 3 because they sounded eerily the same, kind of like They
are. So bullet points 2 and 3 should just be the primary tech you use to solve the problem or the project, and you can even do it just in one bullet point, right? But if like if there's enough meat and potatoes there for for one bullet point to have just React and then like another bullet point to have like AWS serverless stuff. And if there's enough there to have 2 separate bullet points, do that. But honestly, if you just can do it all in one bullet point, that's fine.
And one more thing. So for my case, I was in a boot camp and I don't think I wrote my experience on the boot camp in my LinkedIn correctly. Like, should I label et cetera, like these are the 3 projects I worked on in my boot camp, and then like 1, 2, 3, this is what I did on my LinkedIn.
Yes, I would go back and edit your LinkedIn, and your employer is the boot camp, right? Or VACO, like your employer is the boot camp, and then you list your projects like I did.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions around how to write the actual body of your LinkedIn?
There's a question on, sorry, this is not for the body, but
no, you're fine.
Benjamin's asking, as a recruiter, do you look at the open to work badge? And we see it, like, especially in the last, since I think the feature came out, it's very prominently used, and what type of work they're looking for.
Yeah, so I think that open to work is good to have. I think it's good to have. I've just become so numb to it. I mean, at this point, right? I'm more concerned with what's on your profile. Yeah, and that's where. And then what's the second part of the question?
What type of work you're looking for?
Yeah, I mean that's where you need to be specific, either the about section or somewhere, right? Specific work you're looking for. About section. I currently am a React Node developer. I am targeting cloud opportunities, right? Something like it needs to be very, very spelled out. Cloud opportunities, I would argue, in AWS, Azure, GCP, because what happens is you want to get caught up on all those searches.
That's fair. We do have a number of questions, but I'm thinking if it's better to actually have a Q&A once you've done it.
Yeah, I'm gonna fly through this. I'm gonna fly through LinkedIn, and then Navi, I'm probably gonna try to get you to like get me off of like the host or whatever, so maybe my screen will go back to normal. Okay. Because I can't even choose to stop sharing.
I feel bad. I'm like interrupting you every 2 seconds.
No. This is good stuff. Well, this is what I'm saying, right? I hate sitting here running my mouth. Like the individuals who are here, y'all want to learn, and I want to learn from you, right? What questions do you have, right? Like as I'll tell you this: if Bip's got a question, Ken's got a question. If Ken's got a question, Chris has got a question, right? Like we all have questions. So that's what I'm here for. So let me fly through this. Let me touch on Twitter briefly. And then Navi can get me off of the screen share. Then we can start just chatting Q&A. Fewer things. One, the skills endorsements, not a big deal down here. I would absolutely get recommendations. Right now, I had somebody push back on me, a Twitter troll, like, oh my gosh, like recommendations, they don't matter. Like what? Because I said, if I'm looking at 2 profiles for one job, and one's got 5 recommendations and the other one's got 0, who do you think I'm calling first? And of course, Twitter was like, well, you need to call both. Well, yes, I'm going to call both. But who I think has more confidence? Or which individual do you think I'm going to have more confidence in? It's the one with the 5 recommendations. Right now, if you're asking me, Taylor, I'm a junior candidate right now. I don't have anybody speak my technical skill sets. Well, you do. You can probably get a colleague that's helped you on a group project. That's fine. I'd also, from a junior dev, I had a live show interview with a hiring manager with a software company in Nashville last week. Check it out, Bill Israel. It's on my LinkedIn page if you scroll through some posts. Bill talked specifically about hiring junior talent and that he doesn't look for technical skill sets. He looks for the people who are hungry, who are kind, who are interested, who want to learn. All of those things you can get in recommendations from non-tech people. So make sure you do that. Accomplishments and interests are fine. What I would do, and we talk about this here in a bit, I would go to everybody's interest on a page and try to leverage one of their interests in the DMs. So let's say Ken slides in my DM and goes, "Hey Taylor, I love Simon Sinek. Love him. I love his latest book, blah, blah, blah. Have you read it?" I'm gonna reply back to Ken instead of Ken going, "Hey, hope you're doing well. Hi." I get a lot of haze, like weird haze, right? Like don't do that, right? Message, like reference something on somebody's profile. So I would use the interest portion to reference on your profile. So here's why LinkedIn is so powerful. So I want to talk about this, right? LinkedIn is so powerful because literally, so there's 3 ways to use LinkedIn. You can post content, right? That's a whole nother conversation. What does content look like? How to post it, when to post it, whatever. And to you, if you're like, "Taylor, I'm actually interested in posting content, don't know what to post," just live blog. Like blogging is back. Journaling is back. Like it's just not in one of those like composite notebooks that we did in like elementary school. It's now on the internet, right? So just keep posting and commenting on LinkedIn. So posting is one. Commenting and liking is another way to use it. And here's why, right? So let's go through here. So let's see here. All right. So Jared, I don't know Jared. The reason why I don't know Jared is because he's a second connection. But Benjamin, who I'm connected with, Benjamin commented on his post. All right. Now here's the crazy thing. Which name did I see first? I saw Benjamin's name first. I didn't see Jared's. I saw Benjamin's. But all he did was comment on somebody else's post. Right? I get a question a lot. "Hey, Taylor, how do I post how do I use LinkedIn to find a job without my employer knowing?" That's it. This is it. You comment and you like people's posts. So here's another one. We'll get somebody I don't know here soon. All right, Adam Brown. Right? Adam Brown, don't know Adam, but Alex commented and I saw Adam's post and all he did was comment. Right? So here's what's crazy, right? Adam posted on this guy's profile. I see his post here, right here, and I see his name first down here. But I only see one post from the guy. So you actually get more billboard space if you comment and like somebody's post and actually post it on yourself. People see you more if you just like and comment. And then the third way to use LinkedIn effectively is DMing. So I posted about it today. I would make sure that you send a DM. So I'm not friends with Jared. I don't know why. Always do a customized note. Always. "Hey, Jared, can't believe we're not connected." Send. Right? Because what happens is my LinkedIn gets a little out of hand. Right? It gets a little nuts. Right? And so for me, if you send me a DM, you go to the top of my inbox. If you do not send me a customized note, you just kind of go away. Like LinkedIn's got to get better about that. Like there's got to be another alternative, but like you just kind of like go away. But if you send a note, I get it at the top of my inbox. That is why LinkedIn is so powerful. In my perspective, you should be on LinkedIn at least 15 minutes a day, connecting with people, liking, commenting, sending notes, and trying to build conversation. So that's LinkedIn. Let's pause there. I'm going to go to Twitter real fast, and then we'll open it up for questions for the rest of the time. So Twitter's crazy. Twitter's a beast, right? I will tell you this. Twitter's community is crazy though, tech community, and I would highly advise you to use it, right? And so for me, how do you use it? So there's something called lists. I can share my list with you. I can share it with Navi. I would share it right now, but I can't. I have Taylor's Tech. So it's about 100 people that I really, really like in the tech community across the country. And you can just follow that list and immediately follow all the people that I follow for like a good starting point. But Twitter's a platform. So the biggest difference between Twitter and LinkedIn is Twitter. I actually have better experience DMing people and them getting back to me. Twitter is like LinkedIn, but like smaller micro communities. Like if you're really passionate about cats, like I'm passionate about corgis. I have a corgi. I love corgis. Love them. Best dogs, best breed known to mankind. Don't at me. Right? That being said, I can go and follow a bunch of corgi profiles and I could create a sub community of corgis, of corgi profiles. Not corgis. That'd be cool too. Right? So I could literally create a list and I could follow 20 corgi profiles of owners and we could just have community. I could network, I could comment, I could like, I could retweet everybody's. Right? If you're big on like board games or something, like there are communities out there, but you got to go find them. Right? Another thing I forgot to highlight, get comfortable with the search bar on Twitter. Like for example, let's do jobs. So I'm going to search jobs. So you can search from anyone. So anybody posting about jobs or people that I follow in anywhere in the country or near me. Right? And so Eric's been posting about jobs in Nashville. Chris has been posting about jobs in Nashville. I have been posting a lot about jobs in Nashville, right? So get comfortable with the search bar. Same thing with LinkedIn. Like just this afternoon, if you have 15 minutes, just kind of mess around with the search string, right? So like let's say I want to do Amazon. Say I want to go work for Amazon, right? So there's a ton of people on Amazon, and then I would just do this. So I would do, all right, well, I want to go, who are people that I'm connected with, first connection, that live in Nashville, and their current job is Amazon, right? Because when you search Amazon, you search everybody who's ever interacted with Amazon. So you do that. Let's see here. So I have 40 people that I'm connected with that if I slide into their DMs, they should respond back. Get comfortable with the search strings within Twitter and LinkedIn. They could be an absolute game changer for you. That being said, I am done just rambling about social media for 40 minutes now. I'll open this up to questions. Navi, if you want to get me off share screen or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me a second. So you can
or you can become host now or something.
Okay, so I'm gonna all right.
And we're back. Great.
Your chat?
Yes. Awesome. Sweet. We have questions. We have lots of questions. I love this. Is so awesome. I'm kind of going through here.
I think we're at Svetlana.
Yep. All right, Svetlana. So would it be appropriate to list actual work experience not related to software engineering in the main section and then just list out? So you can. So I didn't go over this. This is a great question. And listen, I'm going to be honest with y'all. If you talk to another recruiter this afternoon, they could say something completely opposite than me. Right. So like, I want you to know, like I'm sitting here and I'm just trying to tell you what works that I've seen. But like, you could argue that none of this stuff works and that I'm all wrong. Like literally that's how much this differs. In my opinion, Svetlana, I think your LinkedIn should just be tech specific and your resume should have your entire work history. But the guys on the podcast that I'm with, we had an argument about this and they think the opposite. So there's no right or wrong. But for me, I think if I'm searching on LinkedIn, I don't care about your work history on LinkedIn. I just want to know what you've done within tech. And then I'll go, hey, can you send me your resume so I see your complete work history? So that's my 2 cents there.
Yeah. If I may add my 2 cents on this.
Yeah, please.
I always view my resume and my LinkedIn as sort of a living entity or a living organism, and you're always sort of changing it and adapting and seeing what's working. So it's not what works for me doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work
100%.
for Taylor and you, just because our roles are different. What we bring to the table is a little bit different. So, we can optimize and like take a look at other people's LinkedIn and be like, oh, I like that. Let me grab that. Oh, I like that. Let me grab that. But it might not work for your specific skill sets. So it's an iteration process constantly.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. Constant. You should always be tweaking something every week. I mean, like if you are actively looking, it should be an every day, every week type thing. If you're not, then you don't have to do that. Greg, how would you include projects once they've been completed if these are post bootcamp projects? Also, would you include projects here that you wouldn't necessarily showcase, talk about, interview? So I think, Greg, if I'm following you, that should be so if you've done stuff on your own, not through boot camps or something, what I would do is I would just create a part of the main body of the experience and say maybe like a consultant or freelance or something, because like I still think you need to post it as a job, right? If you post stuff as like projects or like whatever that isn't in the main body of your LinkedIn, people are going to overlook you, and I don't want that for you all. Also, would you include projects here that you wouldn't necessarily showcase, talk about, interview? Yeah, I mean, listen, I think you could do that in a featured section. I think you put up you write that in the experience section. Maybe you get some references to talk about that. Like you can get really creative. Hopefully, I answered your question. Corgis are great. Doug, thank you, sir. So Chris goes, I would never post anything political on LinkedIn, but when I started Twitter, I was pretty political, not offensive though. How much trouble can that cause looking for a job? So listen, there are horror stories. Like I've seen it both ends. To me, like there's nothing wrong with being passionate. It's like when it just starts to become a little ridiculous. Like for me, like I think you need to do you and whatever you're comfortable with. But at the end of the day, if you feel that this could be something an employer looks down upon, then don't do it. Now, if you need an outlet, like I know some people do, and you just need to go off, just go off. Like that's why there's like Reddit and like, you know what I'm saying? Like the deep internets, maybe not on Twitter where it's so easily searchable, but like if you need an outlet, like I need an outlet to complain about Gamecock football. I'm a huge college football fan. I went to the University of South Carolina. Like I'm a huge passionate football guy. Like I could not share my thoughts on Twitter because they would be angry. Right. Especially with the last 5 years with our old coach. And so that's where you just got to ask yourself, like, if I'm asking myself this may not be the best thing to post. And that's where you just go into deep subreddits and just have fun there. Any points on taking LinkedIn skill assessments? Don't spend that time volunteering somewhere to actually get real world experience. I mean, that's kind of what I would do. I think, I mean, listen, people talk about this a lot, right? Do I take assessments? Do I, I've had people say, do I go back to college? Listen, right now, I just like to see experience. I have one guy and he may get an offer. He may not, but he's in the final running. He has volunteered the last year and a half of his time. Now, I'm not, if you don't have the financial means to do it, don't do it. But if you do, he on his resume has a year and a half worth of experience because he volunteered his time. My client does not know it's for free. That's what I'm saying, right? Like the job search is a lot about storytelling. It's a lot about storytelling. And if you put it on paper, you don't have to say it's free. You don't have to say it's unpaid. Like it's just experience. Like stop discounting yourself. So LinkedIn skill assessment, sure. Spend time doing free work with a nonprofit or something. I've never really looked at Twitter as a place to look for work. Yes, neither have I until the last 6 to 9 months. I've gotten really bullish on Twitter. I will tell you, my role is shifting at Vaco single-handedly because of Twitter. Just to let y'all know. but yes, Twitter as a whole, you're probably like, really, Twitter and LinkedIn? Like Taylor was talking about like two things that like aren't even like it's not Instagram, it's not TikTok, right? Like it's Twitter and LinkedIn. That's like where weird people hang out. Yeah, weird people with jobs. So it's your career skill assessment. Great, Greg. Thanks so much for answering my question, Taylor. Also, a little quick question. Oh, is LinkedIn Premium worth it for job seekers? So I get this question a lot. I need to come up with a better answer than what I'm probably about to give, but I keep forgetting it because I don't get this question a ton, but I do get it more often than not. So I probably need to do some research. I think if you can afford it, yes. I think if you can stop going to coffee shops for 30 days or 60 days and spending $6 on a latte every day, and you could set that money aside, do LinkedIn Premium, do it. But if you're going to pay for it, you need to be on that like all day. Like I know it's expensive, right? But the thing is, I think it's worth it. If finding a job is worth it to you, I would get LinkedIn Premium and maybe not eat out as much as I do. I don't think people care if that's money exchange experience. Yeah, absolutely. Kat, yeah, you nailed it. Experience is experience. I mean, again, you could write all this stuff. I don't really care what it looks like. You just have experience. Fun tip: if you try to cancel a membership and state it's because this premium is too expensive, they will drop the price. There you go. There you go. Look at that. This is why we do this. Kyle B with the heat. If you try to cancel your membership and state that's expensive, they will drop $15 a month. Yeah, they lowered it. Sweet. That's awesome. Cool. Sweet. So we have 10 minutes left. So a career coach at my school told me that putting projects under work experience was disingenuous since I wasn't paid. There's a reason why my live show and podcast is called Guidance Counselor 2.0, because I think a lot of people, especially with an academia setting, are out of touch. Guidance Counselor 2.0. I want to kick the guidance counselor in the shin that told you your resume should be one page. We didn't even talk about resumes. That's a whole nother thing. Right. So, yeah, Guidance Counselor 2.0 is because of that. What is your podcast? I would like to follow it. Guidance Counselor 2.0 and Unicorn Finders. Unicorn Finders is we've had people on from Google, Netflix, Amazon. We have Spotify on next week. A lot of engineers talk about all types of things. Can we get a link to your podcast? Yes, you can get a link. Let's see here. Also, too, if you want, I have a texting community. Shameless shelf plug. If you want one text message a day to your phone on all this stuff I just talked about, but in text message form, and I only do it once a day, shoot me a text, join my community. It's from me. It's from me. It's not from anything automated. It's just me. So join my texting community. You can opt out. I had a woman today text me. It's the best thing ever. She goes, "Hey, can I opt out of this? I found a job." I said, absolutely. I will tell you, I've probably had around 10 people get jobs from my text message community in one way, shape, or form because of the things they've implemented. So it's pretty cool stuff. Podcast. Yes, I'll do that now. Any other questions?
While you're looking for the link, I'll drop them later as well. So
okay, cool, awesome.
Yeah, just send me all the information, your list, and I'll drop it in current event.
Yes, let's do.
I wanted to ask you a question around, I know you're bullish on both LinkedIn and Twitter. I'm 100% with you on both those things, but they do take a lot of time, right? So a lot of when you've recently graduated or you're self-taught and you're looking to break into the industry, there's so much, like you're dealing with so much. You're dealing with, hey, I need to upkick my skill. I need to level up. I need to participate in hackathons, Learnathons. I need to apply for jobs. I need to network. And now we're talking about, I also need to post, right? So that's a lot of balls in the air, right? So when it comes to Twitter and LinkedIn, I think you've given us a really good breakdown of like how to use LinkedIn in terms of DMing or commenting, liking. But what are some easy ways of engaging on Twitter? Because sometimes it can I've seen the tech Twitter world. Sometimes it's like you're just saying things, but you're not like, is it really tech related, or are we just finding out more about your personal habits?
Yeah, it's basic. Yeah, I saw a tweet the other day. It says Twitter's great because you just talk to yourself into the ether, and then people go, yeah, I like that. Here's my thing. And again, I know I'm throwing a lot at y'all, and you're right, Navi. Yeah, the job search is overwhelming, without a doubt. I want to list a few pillars that you need to do from a job search perspective. One is the job boards, right? So get your resume on Indeed and Dice.com immediately. A lot of people have not heard of Dice.com. It's a tech-only platform, right? So do that immediately. I think the second thing is, so job boards, LinkedIn, right? I mean, like your LinkedIn platform needs to be good. Your profile needs to be great. I would then try to find recruiters in your area that work, that's a whole nother talk I have called Recruiters Suck, Use Them. That's kind of what put me onto the speaking circuit, was that talk. And that's just navigating recruitment as a whole. So job boards, LinkedIn, recruiters are your main ones. And then for me, what I would do, if you really want to start diving in, I would just stay on LinkedIn. I would still choose LinkedIn over Twitter. To answer your question on Twitter, though, you can follow my list and then just start liking and commenting and retweeting. It's that simple. A lot of people don't like to post. I get it. It's a time suck. Like, it's a lot, especially if you have a day job. But let me ask you this. How many times a day, or how many hours a day or minutes a day do you scroll through Instagram mindlessly, watch Netflix, do any of that stuff, right? Like, you need to audit your time. I talked about this a lot on social media. Looking for a job is a full-time job, let alone when you have a full-time job, right? So you need to try to do something every single day.
Great points. I want to maybe just add another tip, is that there's tools out there that let you automate what you want to post. So you can actually plan. This is what companies do all the time. They plan their content calendar for weeks. So you can definitely do that. If you're very strong as a technical writer, or you just kind of know what you want to say, there's lots of tools. Like there's Buffer. There's so many.
See, and Navi, I'd be interested to talk to you later about these tools, right? Because I'm pretty siloed, to be honest with you. Like, I think one of my biggest weaknesses is I've only spent time at Vaco, and to be honest with you, Vaco we're kind of a little bit more bare bones when it comes to tooling. Like, we don't use a lot of the fancy stuff out there, and we're trying to get better. So
game changer. It's
so
because
I'd
you're
be
doing,
interested to talk to you.
for a company our size, like you're doing so much. And then when you have to plan your social calendar, you're like, oh God, it's a lot, right? So helping, like, these tools, a lot of them, like especially for individual users, they're free, guys. A lot of them are free. Like you can port your LinkedIn, your Twitter, your Facebook. Instagram is not as easily portable into these platforms, but for LinkedIn and Twitter, it's really easy to plan your content.
Last question, three more questions, and again, keep these coming. Would you advise to answer all recruiters, even if they offer you positions that are not applicable? No. So I talk about this. Like, I get so many DMs like, Taylor, do I need to message back the recruiter list? I'm gonna be honest with you, like, they don't care about you. They don't. 99% of recruiters don't care about you if you respond back. If it doesn't make sense, don't reply back. I'll tell you this. I posted this the other day on Twitter. I said, if a recruiter sends you a templated message, like, you can tell that's templated, don't respond back. Like, I send 2 sentences and there's a lot of poor punctuation and grammar in it, right? Like, you want a recruiter who just is themselves. And so if they're out there sending you templated messages, they're going to be a templated recruiter, and it's not going to be who you want to work with. I tell this a lot of times, you're going to have to kiss a lot of frogs to find a good recruiter. You're going to have to kiss a lot of them. If you go to my website, taylordestin.com, I have a 10 questions to stump a recruiter. So when a recruiter sends you a job, send them those 10 questions. They should at least answer half of them. I've had so many software devs to use it on recruiters, and the recruiters never get back to them. So they send you a template, send them a template back. Just have a template off. Amar, when do you start or know when you can start looking for jobs? You should have a certain number of projects, personal. No. So yeah, I'm starting to see this thing where it's like I have to get my project ready to start the job search. No. The job search is networking. Like, you should be networking always. My brother is happy in his job and he's taking interviews constantly. He's being open. Sure, I'll take the interview. I'm not looking though. Okay, great. And they have the interview and then they fall in love with him. And Brandon's like, well, listen, I can't do this right now, but I appreciate it. That's fine. Listen, right now, like, you have to network. You should always be networking, always taking a call, always. And don't wait on a project. Don't wait on something. Just go, send DMs. Hey, Navi, I've been admiring what Mintbean's been doing in the community. Do you have 6 minutes to talk to me about what y'all do in the community? Pretty sure Navi probably get back to me. 6 minutes? Navi's got 6 minutes.
Yep.
Sometimes.
Depends.
So yeah, you should always. Also, is it working with a recruitment agency worth it? Yes, it is worth it working with a recruitment agency. But like I said, you have to kiss a lot of frogs to find the good ones. I appreciate you all. That was fun. That was a lot of good questions.
That was a good note to end this session on. Last remarks.
Yeah, last closing remarks.
You gotta kiss a lot of frogs.
Yeah.
I love that. Taylor, really appreciate those insights, man. You got to come back. I feel like we just scratched the surface on this.
It's a lot. It's a lot of information.
Like, I see like everyone, like I made notes. Everyone was just kind of like scribbling quickly, trying to capture all of that. This session is going to be recorded and it will live on our YouTube channel. Taylor, I'm always open for you to come back and
cool.
Guys, let me know what exactly you'd like Taylor to do again, because I feel like social media is one of those things that's like really big and it's hard to capture in an hour. So if there's like certain things that you'd want his insights more on, Taylor, I really like the authentic voice that you have on LinkedIn and Twitter. So sharing resources of like, how did you, like, I'm sure this is something that you've sort of perfected over the years as well. Like your target personas, and what they're, like you said, like your profile is not for you, right? It's for the other person who you're trying to connect with. So like just sharing like the psychological insights that you've captured would be interesting. I'd love to have you back.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, cool. Guys, if this is your first workshop with Mintbean, we do this all the time. We bring in experts like Taylor. So if you're not on our server, please go check it out. I'm going to link it in the chat. And thank you again for joining us on Monday. Really appreciate it. And yeah, happy coding as always.
Appreciate it. Thanks, y'all. Have a good one.
Take care. Bye.
All right.